Hello everyone, Mercurial Girl here, and today I want to talk about why astrology is real, why we should care about it, why we should be even paying attention to what is happening with astrology, and I want to share a little bit about my personal journey with this because I was for sure a skeptic to astrology when I didn't really know what astrology was even about. So I want to start there because I grew up in a religious home, and first of all, astrology was seen as kind of dark and don't pay attention to it, and it's this I remember being told so many crazy things about why I needed to steer clear of astrology, okay? But even getting past the religious stuff, I remember thinking okay, I'm reading these generic horoscopes out of these magazines, and it just seems really weird that every Gemini is going to be finding the love of their life next week. How would that be possible? So I kind of wrote it off as being this fun thing that you could look to, and it could be kind of humorous, but I did not think there was any validity to it. I thought it was just kind of goofy, fun, playful. That's it. So I ended up going kind of deeper on a spiritual path. I started doing yoga and meditation and really figuring out ways to kind of decode my ego and to connect deeper with my soul. And I remember the further along in the spiritual path, I definitely found a lot of people that were discussing something called a birth chart. And I was like, what is this in astrology? I know I'm a Gemini because I was born on June 4th, but what is this birth chart thing? And so figuring out that we're actually looking at every single planet in the sky and our solar system and how it correlates to where we were at the time we were born, what time we were born, and kind of piecing this deeper puzzle together, I was intrigued enough to book my first birth chart reading. And I was going in thinking, I'm going to prove this lady wrong. I know it. I'm not going to get anything out of this. I feel like it's going to be generic, for sure. And I walk in and this lady said stuff that shook me. I was so shocked. I was like, how can she know from looking at this little circle what is going on in my life? What I have been through, what my struggles are, things I don't admit so openly because I was really insecure that some of those things were coming from me not figuring something out that I was supposed to. So it was so validating to hear, here's what you came to really work through within your lifetime. This is never going to be fully easy. There's going to be a lot of growth in this area of your life, just really heavier stuff that had me just in tears. And I was like, wow, I am shook. I remember driving home and having this gratitude wash over me of if that was so accurate, that just really points to the fact that we are all a part of this bigger system, and we're probably so much more connected to what is around us than we perceive. I thought it was this just mystical surrendering, and I was so just grateful, and I was like, I want to know everything now. So I went into crazy hyperfixation mode. I got so many books, read every podcast I could get my hands on. I was just wanting to learn every in and out of astrology that I could. I studied deeply. This was in 2019. So it was years of deep studying before I started offering my own birth chart readings, which I was so thankful to be able to give people that same feeling I had when I had my first reading, that, whoa, maybe some of the things that I have come to hate myself for are so much more a part of my design. And if I know how to work with it and see it as a strength, I can release so much of that pressure I put on myself. Being able to offer that to people was freaking huge. And I still think it's so fun to study a birth chart and then to meet the person and see their essence after I've read their whole soul blueprint. It gets me every time. It's always so wild to be able to give people information on just that ends up hitting them like so deep because it's stuff that someone shouldn't be able to know, but astrology points to so much. So let's talk about the complexity of astrology, because I think for a lot of skeptics, they came from the same angle as me, as seeing this like generic sun sign astrology that was all based on birthday and not really the looking at the birth chart, seeing where the sky is, and then applying it over your birth chart is going to create a lot more of an understanding of why you're going through something. Currently, it becomes hard to always group that into bigger chunks of people because there's a lot of personalization in your own chart. I think really for skeptics to understand that we're looking at every planet, where it lands in the sky, what degree the planet is in the sky when you're born, how each planet is relating to each other. So is your moon opposite to the sun in the sky when you were born? Is it squaring Mars? Is it relating to Pluto in a certain way? Is the sun and the moon conjunct and right next to each other in the sky when you were born? And all of these things kind of change the way something is going to look. So there is endless components to look at in a birth chart. I've gotten so many professional readings, and I still look at my chart all the time because I think as you're living your life, you can unpack what some things mean in there. And I think if you look at cultures that have used astrology for so much longer, they really value and respect astrologers. It comes from a lot more wisdom than I think kind of America's capitalism that kind of led to like, how can we make money and do like little quick fun things, which I think kind of gave that like shadow side to astrology, is when all the magazines were trying to give like hot, fun horoscopes. And I think another thing that goes missed is astrology is more accurate now than ever before because we have technology to data collect in ways we never could previously. So we can look up exactly where the sky was in every moment in history that was kind of big. They've been able to see trends and where the sky was when really heavy historical events happened, where the sky was when different generations moved through different hardships or even strengths in the sky. And generational planets, we're talking Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, and even Saturn. Some of the planets that move a little slower in the sky lump us into peer groups, generations, and that's where you see groups of people kind of going through things together. So it's so fascinating to see when Pluto was in different signs throughout history, what that generation kind of produced within their lifetime. I think we can get a lot more accurate data as we reflect on history, things that are kind of already locked in and set. They've been able to run data on a bunch of people that have passed away, what their life entailed, where it went, and you can then kind of take that and create more accuracy in today's times when you're looking at what the sky is doing for people's personal charts and the collective at large and where it's going and why, which is so nerdy, so fun. I think astrology is so much less black and white and so much more of studying data and looking for, it's really crazy that the sky looked exactly like that when this happened. It's crazy that the sky looked just like that for this person when they were born, and why their life, why they were an artist, why they were a politician. Like, these are trends that we're being able to see in astrology now because we can run so much bigger data with our current technology, which is also in the stars. And so, yeah, that I think adds like so many layers. But I think another thing to note is astrology is pointing to the fact that we are connected to nature. At its whole, we're looking at the seasons, we're looking at the things that are already happening around us that we don't have control over. So season changes, where the moon cycle is, how it relates to the other planets, and just knowing that nature is already kind of following this rhythm, this pattern. Maybe because we are a part of nature, we are doing the exact same thing. So let's kind of play with that line of thought. Astrology is like this curiosity towards that and seeing how we have our own rhythms in life. All of the different zodiacs connect to different elements. So we have our fire signs, which are going to be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We have our air signs, which are going to be Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. You have your water signs, which are going to be Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And then you have your earth signs, which are going to be Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. And when you piece all of the elements together, you see this overall rhythm. They all point to kind of different initiations of seasons. So starting something off, kind of landing and getting settled in it, and then moving through change. And it kind of follows this rhythm when you actually get to know the zodiac wheel, what all the signs are about. And it's just beautiful. It shows why we need each other, why we piece together, why we piece with nature at large, why we have energy at certain points of the year, why we do not at other points. Each of our birth chart shows what elements we have abundance of, maybe what elements we lack. Are we more imbalanced? How does that fit to how we move through life? And there's just so many things to like peek and delve into, and I freaking love it. So if astrology is something that you are new to, I highly recommend just starting with a birth chart reading to understand your why, and then really learning how that like fits with what you have been through. And I think when you can learn a little bit of the astrology of the people around you, that can also show why they kind of focus on what they focus on. And it just leads to a deeper surrendering, trust, letting go, letting the universe kind of do its thing. I love to use astrology to see like when I'm going through a really hard time, why that could be actually a lesson for me instead of feeling like I'm a failure and that I did something wrong, which was 100% the voice I had before astrology. And now I can look at it and go, oh, I'm being shown my relationship to control. So maybe I should do some journaling and just like chill out, not think that I'm like this utmost failure and I'm like doing life terribly, which used to be the voice that would come in before I had this kind of like as a deeper understanding. So I hope some of what I have mentioned in this video helps like spark some light bulbs. And if you want a birth chart reading, you can go to sensiblewellness.com and book with me. I would love to share astrology with you. I will see you guys next week for more Mercurial Girl.